Six is the one that we're doing today because it's a big batch for 100 people, right? And the other one is 333. It's a smaller batch, so the only thing is it's not that small, but it still makes a lot. But what you have to do is you got to remember, you can even cut it down even to half of what's in there, right? You'll still have the same flavors. The big thing is what you're using, making sure they're the same, right? Olive oil, all right? What we have to do is in Italy we call it sofrito, right? It's carrots, onions, and celery. So what we do is we take equal parts carrots, onions, and celery. And the reason why I called it 666 is because I use 6 of each. So 6 nice big onions, usually 6 good sized celery, right? And then always 6 nice carrots. We're going to put them through the chopper. If you don't have one of these, what you have to do is you have to chop it a lot smaller. Because what ends up happening is that makes the flavor in the sauce. When you use the blender like this, it pulverizes it, so it makes it that much easier. But if you do it the other way, you have to make sure you chop it up nice and small. And they all have to be the same. So the same way you chop up the carrot, you chop up this, and you chop up the onion. As it cooks, it breaks down, and then you don't even see it. All you see is the meat and the sauce, right? So that's that. Then I use, we were blessed with some organic garlic from Bernie and Carm's area in Stony Point. So I use a whole head of garlic, the whole bowl, right? Now, in the recipe that you have, there's 2 things that are missing. Shallots, which is a cross between a garlic and an onion, right? And hot peppers. This is optional. If you don't like it spicy, you don't put it in. You can use the fresh stuff. You can use the dried stuff, right? So it depends on what you want. I always like to have something with a little bit of a bite. When you use these 2 here, you're making that much, it's not going to make a big difference.
You don't feel it.
You don't feel it, right? You want it more spicy, you use 5 or 6. Now, in the 666, I use 2 kilos of pork and 2 kilos of ground beef. When you make it smaller, use the same amount. If you use a half a pound of ground pork, use half a pound of ground beef, right? Okay, so the other thing is what I do is I have bacon, right? The only crappy thing is now they're making them in small packages, $3.75 as opposed to $500. So anyway, so when I do this big pot, I grab 2 of the $3.75s and I slice them up. What I normally do is after I cut it up, I got 2 pots. The big pot is just for the ground beef. The smaller pot is for my vegetables. So when we do the vegetables, afterwards I take this, and they're whole tomatoes. So what you have to do is usually take a knife, take the core out, because I don't like the core in it, right? Smash them up with your hands, or you can do it in a blender if you want. But I'd rather do it with your hands because you want a little bit of texture in it. Right?
Do they have the small cans?
Then I use 6 of these, right? Costco 6 of them is like $7.99.
That's tomato sauce.
No, it's called strained crushed tomatoes. It's not tomato sauce. When you buy the tomato sauce, they put salt and all the other crap that's in it, right? So this stuff here is just pure tomatoes, and I find the one I got here is Aurora. So when I cook the meat, right, separate, you let it cook down. You'll see it. You keep mixing it. You gotta be on top of it to cook it. Then I put almost a full bottle of red wine in it. Right? So what you do is once you put the wine in it, it breaks it down even further. So your chunks of meat breaks down into small little pieces. So that's a big thing with the wine. I also put in beef broth, right? Yeah, and if you've got to watch your salt intake, they also sell the 30% less salt in it. But I do use this here. It gives it just a little bit more robust flavor. This is a can of tomato paste, a big can of tomato paste. When I do the big one, I do the 666. I have to use this one here. If you do the smaller one, then you want to use just a small can of tomato paste. All right? When I'm at home, I usually have a basil plant in the garden, and my leaves are usually twice the size of these here. So, right? So when we start putting everything together, we're going to take this. We'll probably use up most of this plant in the sauce too. Basil and tomatoes go together all the time, right? So I don't know if you noticed, but on there is icing sugar, right? You want to add a little bit of sweetness to tomatoes. It brings out the flavor. You can use regular sugar. I find icing sugar, you don't have to worry about it breaking down and not being gritty in your teeth, right? So icing sugar works just the same way. That's what I use a lot. Whenever you do fried onions, I mean, everybody likes fried onions in their hamburger or on their hamburger. I do it and add a little bit of that with a little bit of hot water, and people don't know the difference. They thought the guy went that. Right? Kosher salt. This is, I brought it from home, right? Kosher salt, if anybody doesn't know, the granules are a little bit bigger. But I use the kosher salt. You can use regular salt. That doesn't make much of a difference. But sometimes when you're doing like a salad, it's nice to put the kosher salt on it because you got a little bit of a bite. But if you got salt intake problems, omit it. It doesn't make a big difference, right? After we're done and we start to eat, we put Parmesan cheese. This is what you should be using. Okay? Now I bought both this and the 100% fake one. Okay? This is garbage. But I brought it both today so that you can taste the difference when you put a little bit of that. You'll taste that, and then you taste this one here. You're going to notice that you'll never want to buy this ever again. Okay, so I'm going to do all the carrots first. When they are too big, when they're too big and it doesn't go in here, then you got to cut it in half, right? So this particular carrot was this big. If I were to put it in here, it fits, but if it didn't fit, then I'd cut it in half. Right? Use that to... So it's pretty fast when you do it this way, right? Is that it? Okay. Let me just quite a bit less, right? So. Now, remember I said we should have very similar to the same size? Look how much celery is made. Hardly any. So what I would do is probably add more celery in it. Right? So if we have a couple more stalks, we'll put them in. So now what I'll do is I'll do the onion, the garlic, the onion, and the shallots. Now I didn't put, in your recipes I didn't put the shallots. Right? But we have them because I had them at home. It's a little more expensive, but that's not going to work. So you see all the juices coming out? That's good for the garlic, or for the sauce, right? Makes it really sweet. Onions are real sweet. Actually, on that garbage, with the onion bag, here, this bag here, yellow onions. Okay, Costco, $4.99. Right? And I'm not promoting Costco, I just like the store, so. I'd say a lot because of Costco, because I live right around the corner, and it's easy to use them. Too is very small. But that's juice that we're going to put in with the sauce too, so it'll make it look. You can do it by hand, you can do it by hand, but you're going to be crying for a little bit when you do onions, right? So we're going to toss that in there, and there's also the. Right, so now we've used up everything that we had. So you know what? It's always, why throw it out? I'm going to show you the hot pepper. Right. So these are the hot peppers. A little bit of a bite. We're going to put them in. Anybody doesn't like hot stuff, it's not going to be that hot. It's just going to give you a little bit of a bite. So what you do is you make sure you wash them, which I did, and then you take the stems off. With hot peppers, when you start to cut them, we want to cut them up very fine. So if you look at how thick they are, so I was asked, can I put them in a blender? We can put them in a blender. The problem is when you put them in the blender, then the heat.
Yeah.
When I cut this out, I don't go all the way to the end because all the heat. Let me just keep going. So that's it there. That's all I'm going to put in, just to give it a little bit of a flavor, right? Now, yeah, we're done with that. We're just waiting to see how they're doing. Okay, the bacon's done. Start to cut them. We want to cut them up very fine.
This is already cut.
If you look at how thick they are, they're not that thick, right? Okay. So now what I do, all right? This is the sauce that's going to be done in here, and this is where I'm going to do the vegetables. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is we have the bacon chopped up. We'll throw it in one, right? So we did one package here. We'll do the other package in here. And just remember, the bacon gives it flavor, right? So you can go with leaner stuff. We'll put them on the stove and we'll start cooking them.
And the bacon got one.
Okay, so we got them cooking. So now it's going to take a few minutes to cook. And once it starts to brown, right, then we're going to have salt. What else do we take from the bacon out? Is that on high? Oh yeah, that's when it's done. I'll bring it up again. So I just brought it up so you can see where. Oh yeah, a lot of it. That's not. It's just not right now. We're gonna get it all down.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my. In the meantime, the other one is cooking as well, right? If I didn't have, so the question was, don't I want to drain some of the fat off? The bacon fat is more flavorful than olive oil. So what I'll probably do is not put this in. I'll just put a little bit of butter in. But in the meantime, I don't want this to continue to cook. So what we're going to do is take this out, put it in a bowl, and all I have left will be the oil, right? When I put a little bit of butter, right? And I'm going to put the hot peppers in this one. Cook it a little bit, then we'll throw that in there and you'll see how it all melts down and breaks down.
No, I mean, first of all, put what you know, put butter. Put butter. Yeah.
You don't want to cut yourself. So you got to be really careful. You know that. Yeah. Okay, so this is the San Marzano tomatoes that we took out, right? Now,
It's nice and plumpy.
I'm going to try to pull one out so you can see it.
It's the other one.
So that's a San Marzano tomato. There's no tomato peel on it, right? It's already been blanched. And if you look at the sauce that it's in, look at how thick it is. Right? That sauce is what's in this thing here. So, you see here there's a stem. Like, I can't show it to you, but I wish I could. Right here is the stem. So what I do is when I put it in the sauce, I don't put them in whole. I want this cut up, right? So what I would do is just chop it up, right? Then once I get to that stem, I don't want that stem in there because you know what? First of all, when you're eating a sauce and you bite into something hard, you know, this kind of turns you off. So what I normally do is I'll go through that whole jar and put it in here, and I'll get rid of this little stem.
Yeah.
So you see it.
They stay hard. They don't.
They stay hard. They'll never get soft, and then when you bite into it, no, it's right out of the jar. You can do it right.
Turn it in a meal.
But with a good knife, you just cut it. Get to that.
You want help?
I get to the stem fat in there, so I'm not going to put any oil because there's a lot of bacon fat. That one there was for the veggies, and this one here is for the meat. Okay. So now Angie's going to cut the butter. We're going to throw a patty in each one. Put them back on the oven or back on the stove. Once it's on the stove, then I'm going to put the hot peppers in this one. This one here, we're going to start putting the meat in. So we can start cooking the meat. Okay, so. Right, together makes it half a cup. So we throw one in one, throw one in the other, right? And then now I'm going to take this in there, and I've got Diana, she's taking care of the meat, right? You see how it's still cooking because it's hot. And the same with this one here. We're going to get this one going. Okay, now the other one. How's that coming? Oh, is the other one off? We want to have them both. We're going to need them both going, eh?
That?
Yep. So now I got the butter.
What's that? Beef? Egg butter.
And that's when we put the hot peppers in. So I will toast them real quick. Once that,
It's all the juice from the onions.
onion and yep, and the carrots and the celery, everything's got a little bit of natural juices, right?
Diane? Yes.
Come on,
Whatever comes out first.
So what happens, Jeanette, is that once that all boils down, this will have a little bit of fat.
He doesn't want.
What happens is I'll take this, like this, and I'll throw that out.
Yeah.
I'll put it in this can here, and then what happens is it'll get down hard. And then after I get all that fat out, then I'm going to put the bottle of red wine. Put the red wine in. And I let the red wine break it down even further.
Wine make this, when you drink, when you put it.
Doesn't matter what kind of wine you're putting in?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, as long as you're willing to drink it. That's all. Okay, so the wine and the beef broth has gone down, and the meat is all broken down a little bit, right? So now we're going to add our veggies. No, no. Okay. Here, Lindsay, grab a spoon out of my hand, and you can pour that in.
Do you want some water in here or some?
We'll put some of the tomato sauce.
Okay.
Sorry. So now we've mixed it in, right? So now we're going to take that bowl of some tomatoes that we've broken down. You see how the tomatoes didn't do much, you see? It didn't make it, it's still all meat. That's when we had the other stuff, we'll see. When we had the passata, and what I need to do is get the tomato paste.
Are you going to wash or going to, no, just wash it? You're not going to drink any water? Okay. Thank you.
We then take the jars and put a little bit of water to get all the sauce out of the jar. So now this will cook about 2 hours before we can eat it. But we're going to add a few more things, seasonings in it. Now we'll add the bacon back in for the flavor. Mix it in, even though the bacon is a little crunchy because of the sauce, it will soften it up. Now we're going to add some basil. Basil and tomato go good together. We got the basil. Okay, bay leaves. So now, the next thing is we put in 6 bay leaves. But we take them out before we serve it because we don't want somebody to choke on them. Right? And they will get soft too with the sauce as it cooks.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be lumpy if you can, right? It doesn't need a lot of sugar, but it just makes it a little bit of a punch. You can use your hand per person or whatever. But the rule of thumb is 1 box will usually do 4 to 5 people. Why? Because this one here is 450 grams. And like Nina was saying, was 100 grams per person. So when we're looking at doing 60 people and we get 4 to 5 for each one, we're looking at probably 10 boxes, right? So today we're going to do 6 boxes. 6 times 5 is going to get us 30. We got about 30, 35 people. It gives you a lot. 100 grams is a lot.
Always use ridiculous pasta.
How we make it up?
But this one is not boiling yet. We should.
Did you want to put it in here?
No, it doesn't matter.
It's bigger, it's a bigger burner.
No, that one no. That one is the same.
Big too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Salt.
Switch. If we switch everyone's trying to dig into my rice.
Just on it. Cockeye.
Don't put it on anymore.
Here, hold on. Grab the one.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay.
Okay, just let me make sure it doesn't fall. Okay.
Watch, I don't want to burn your hands.
It's okay.
Good, eh?
I just want to make sure we have enough. Okay, so now I'll put a little bit.
Wait. Oh, okay. Just move that one. Oh, you got it. It's still open that one. That's okay. Because it is underneath.
It's okay. What we're going to do is we have those little banana boats.
Yeah.
We'll put some sauce in the banana boats so people can add to themselves. We can get a few people started. Grab your meal. So that's the restaurant time, and this is the homemade.
Yeah, I know. That's our I'm on this side.
So that's the real story.